Hello, I'm Amanda, 31 years old. Lately, things have been a bit tricky with my husband and his mom, and I've realized that marriage isn't always as easy as I once thought. Life was a lot simpler when I was single, working as a vet assistant and surrounded by adorable animals. Adventure was my thing back then, and I had this old bike from my dad that I loved. If it didn't hold so much sentimental value for him, I would have totally claimed it for myself. My dad raised me on his own, and honestly, I never felt the absence of a mom. He's an amazing father, and I feel so lucky to have him. After moving to Detroit, I landed a job at a vet clinic and things were going smoothly. I was catching on quickly, feeling right at home. Then one day, while rushing to work, I hopped into a cab and met Steven. He was the charming, down-to-earth type with silky hair and a warm smile. We had a fun, light-hearted conversation during the ride, and he made me laugh. Every now and then, he'd glance at me in the mirror, and we'd catch each other's eyes. It made me a little shy, but I kept it casual. He asked for my name, and when I questioned why, he jokingly suggested we go out. I teased him back, saying he wasn't really my type, but I was open to being friends, so long as he treated women right. It was all in good fun. Deal then. Do you like Italian food? There's this great place nearby I think you'd love. Are you serious about taking me out? Well, I love Italian food, so why not? I was riding a high after that. At work, I felt energized, and my colleagues couldn't help but notice my upbeat mood. There's usually this one dog that's a bit of a handful, but I handled it with ease that day. My friend Susan noticed something was up and asked, "What's going on? You seem like you're hiding something." I reassured her everything was fine, just feeling really happy. She saw me zoning out during a work discussion and gasped, "Did you meet someone cute?" I admitted I had met a cute cab driver named Steven, who had invited me to dinner. Susan teased me. A cab driver? Really? I told her not to judge and that Steven was actually pretty cute. She rolled her eyes and mentioned having her eye on someone else. That evening, Steven picked me up, and I couldn't help but feel nervous. It was our first time meeting in person. He smelled really good, and his easy smile put me at ease. He took me to this cozy spot by a small lake, nothing too fancy, but the food was incredible. Steven's best feature was his deep brown eyes and expressive eyebrows. When he smiled, his eyes lit up with a warmth and kindness that made me feel comfortable. We spent the evening enjoying pasta, wine, and ice cream. He even mentioned introducing me to his mother, which caught me off guard. It felt a little fast, and I couldn't help but wonder if that was a red flag. I live with my dad in Wisconsin. He and my uncle bought a house together years ago, but after my mom left, it's just been the two of us. My dad loves to travel and doesn't like staying in one place too long. He has this amazing old bike in great condition, and he visits me from time to time. He's actually here now, but he's leaving in a week. Your dad seems like a cool guy, a real motorcycle enthusiast. Think he'd get along with mine? Steven asked, casually. Well, it depends on how you connect with him. My dad's super protective. He's always shielding my sister from the tiniest things, even a bug. And, honestly, he's not too trusting of guys when it comes to me. Last time I introduced a guy to him, my dad practically scared him away right at the doorstep. It was like something out of a comedy sketch. The poor guy was so nervous. I laughed, remembering. Steven grinned. Here's an idea. Let's make a bet. I've already impressed you with the food and the vibe tonight, and now let's see if I can win over your dad. I'm betting $1.50 on it. I'm going to win that $1.45 bet. Just wait. I raised an eyebrow. Okay. I'm pretty confident in that too. We both laughed, but Steven was serious. Little did I know, he was absolutely determined. When I got home that night, It was already past midnight, and my dad was sitting in the living room, looking worried. "Where have you been, young lady? It's late," he said, his voice laced with concern. "Oh, Dad. I was just putting in some extra hours at work. Had to stay late with a few emergencies and clients," I explained quickly. "I'm not naive, Amanda. Who were you with?" My dad was fishing for details about a guy, but there wasn't one. "You're overthinking it. I was just with Susan. Nothing to worry about." I called Susan, and she said, "You're outside with a friend." "Who was it?" "Okay, fine. It was Steven, just an old friend. He wanted to hang out, so I agreed," I said, feeling a bit cornered. "Why haven't you mentioned him before, and why didn't you tell me?" My dad was still concerned. "You know how I am, Dad. I worry about you." "Sorry, Dad. I should have kept you in the loop. Steven's a cab driver, and he's really nice. Please relax." "A cab driver? Why him?" "Next time, just let me know." The next day, I confronted Susan. She looked surprised at first, but then she understood. "Why did you tell my dad about Steven?" I asked her. "Chill. I just said you were out with a friend. Why wouldn't I?" "What if something happened to me?" I countered. "Oh, come on. He's adorable and a gentleman. I'll be meeting his mom soon, you know." "His mom? No way. You're moving way too fast. The first date doesn't mean anything. He could be a creep for all you know." "Don't worry, you'll lose that bet. Trust me, he's not like that." "Since you're such a great judge of character, don't even try." We both exchanged numbers, and he started calling more than texting. He said he loved hearing my voice. Then, Steven proposed visiting his house and meeting his mother, claiming she was eager to meet me. I got nervous and thought about Susan's words. Maybe I was rushing things. I wanted to take things slow and see how we clicked before diving into meeting families. I asked Steven to hold off on introducing me to his mom for now. He was persistent, but eventually understood that we needed time to get to know each other better first. As much as I enjoy spending time with Steven, I felt the need to slow things down a bit. I didn't want to rush into anything or involve anyone else too soon. As much as I enjoy hanging out with you, I'm new to this, and I want to take it slow before involving anyone else. I like you, but I want to like you more, you see? Steven smiled and nodded. "Sure, got it." I smiled back, a bit embarrassed. "I'm sorry, but I've never felt so excited before. It's always enjoyable when you're here." "You know what? Same here. I'm happy we crossed paths. I'm usually outgoing, but not many guys stand out to me, so this is a bit new." "So, are you saying I caught your eye? Are you acknowledging that I'm different from the other guys you've met?" "Certainly," he replied with a grin. "Oh, wow. Saying this aloud feels more awkward than just keeping it to myself. You're the only person I feel I can truly be myself with," he said, looking at me with sincerity. "Amanda, I feel the same way." After 3 months of getting to know each other, we officially started dating. Steven invited me to a baseball game where one of his friends was making their debut on the team. He asked both of us to come along, and I agreed. Throughout the game, Steven stayed close to me, clearly interested. When our eyes met, he leaned in and gave me the sweetest kiss. That moment sealed it for me. This was the beginning of something special, and I was completely captivated by his charm. Steven had a lot of friends, and he introduced me to them. We would hang out, share drinks, and stay out late, always having a good time. He was attentive, making sure I got home safely, and my dad kept a close watch on him whenever he dropped me off. One evening, my dad insisted on joining us for dinner, just the 4 of us. It turned out Steven had already won my dad over. For someone as protective as my dad, this was a big deal. It was clear that he was excited about winning a bet for $50, but it still felt like a win for Steven. We organized a special steak dinner to celebrate, featuring fish fries, rice, and United Kingdom curry. We also had some excellent red wine from Detroit. The spread was extravagant, especially for just 4 people. I wore my best dress in Steven's favorite color, violet. When Steven showed up, I was pleasantly surprised to see him in a fancy tuxedo. He looked really handsome. Before sitting down to eat, we all chatted and got to know each other better. So, Steven, how long have you been living in Detroit? My dad asked, making conversation. Oh, for 2 years, sir. I know the city inside out, Steven replied confidently. That's amazing, my dad said, nodding approvingly. You drive a taxi, huh? I couldn't resist teasing. Hey, remember that night when you caught a ride with that strange person? My dad enjoys those kinds of tales. Not now, Amanda, Steven said, giving me a playful look. We're still in the early stages of our relationship, and my dad believes it's not the right time for such stories in his home. Everyone laughed, and I could see how much Steven had already won over my dad. It felt like the start of something really special for all of us. Your dad's right, Amanda. We can be affectionate, but not in this house, Steven said with a smile. I laughed, nudging him playfully. Hey, Steven, can you share that strange man story Amanda mentioned earlier? After dinner, as Steven prepared to leave, he turned to me with a grin. Hey, do I owe you $50 for winning that bet? I shook my head. Nah, you don't need to pay me. I'm just happy I could prove I can be smooth. He raised an eyebrow, teasing me. Look at you, so confident. You must be feeling pretty good. I love you, you know, I said, the words slipping out naturally. I love you too, Steven replied, his eyes warm and sincere. 5 months later, Steven finally asked me to meet his mom. I was both nervous and excited. It felt like the right time. I stood in front of her door, my heart racing, trying to calm my nerves and make a good impression. Steven had always spoken highly of his mom, Donna. I took a deep breath and knocked. The door creaked open, and there stood a woman with a warm smile and kind eyes. She invited me inside, and I instantly felt a sense of relief. Things were starting off on the right foot, and I hoped this meeting would mark the beginning of a positive connection. As the evening progressed, Donna showed a genuine interest in getting to know me. She asked about my family, my hobbies, and my dreams. I shared everything eagerly, hoping to connect with her on a deeper level. The more we talked, the more at ease I became in her company. But, despite the pleasant conversation and laughter, something nagged at me. Donna's smile sometimes looked a bit strained, and there was a flicker of something in her eyes that I couldn't quite place. I wondered what she was really thinking. When dinner wrapped up, Donna excused herself, leaving Steven and me alone. I turned to him, a mix of curiosity and concern in my voice. Do you think your mom likes me? There's something off, but I can't figure out what it is. Steven paused, a thoughtful look on his face. I'm not sure. Let's just see how things go, he replied. About 30 minutes later, Steven returned with Donna, both carrying plates of dessert. As we all sat down, Donna complimented me, saying how lucky Steven was to have found someone like me. The conversation shifted to marriage, and my heart skipped a beat. I nearly choked on my cupcake, while Steven shot a surprised look at his mother. Donna's words hinted that Steven was thinking about proposing, and sure enough, during our next date, he did. Our wedding was simple, held at a small hotel to avoid unnecessary expenses. I was overjoyed to become Steven's wife. Throughout the ceremony, Donna stayed quiet, her face cold and distant. While I understood that a mother might feel sadness when her son gets married, Donna's behavior left me feeling disconnected from her. After the wedding, Stephen moved into my house, but Donna's cryptic demeanor never really changed. My dad had returned to my uncle's house but promised to visit once we got settled. Stephen and I decided to make our home feel more personal. Starting with our bedroom, he transformed it into his dream space, and I couldn't wait to see how it all came together. I'm not too picky about decorations, so it's fine by me, I said. I focused on organizing the living room and doing some work in the kitchen while Stephen handled other things. Not long after we got married, Susan, even though she was feeling really sick, made the effort to visit us. It was great seeing her and Stephen connect, but things started to get strange when I noticed things disappearing from our home. "What do you mean, gone?" Stephen asked, his brow furrowing. At first, it was small stuff, my favorite jacket, some little trinkets I kept around the house. Gradually, more and more things went missing. I mentioned it to Stephen, but he shrugged it off, suggesting I might have just misplaced them. "Should I stop by and help you look? After all, I'm your good luck charm," he teased. "No, it's fine," I said, trying to stay calm. "I'll handle it. Probably just misplaced them." I went through every drawer and closet, but nothing turned up. The items seemed to vanish into thin air. I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling, and the missing things started weighing on my mind. It went on for months, but I couldn't pinpoint what was going on. It became worse during our honeymoon, and when we returned, it only got more unsettling. Our home greeted us with chaos. The floor was scattered with beer bottles, dirty dishes were piled high, and the place smelled like old laundry. My heart sank, and suspicion quickly turned to my dad, the only one with a spare key. I called him, but he was still at my uncle's house. I didn't share all the details with him. I didn't want to make him worried. I figured Stephen and I would eventually figure it out. Then one evening, I came home early from work, a bad feeling creeping over me as I unlocked the door. It didn't latch properly, and a chill ran down my spine. I pushed the door open slowly, trying to be as quiet as possible. As I stepped inside, I was hit with the unmistakable sound of movement from the bedroom. I grabbed an umbrella from the corner and moved cautiously toward the noise. When I peeked around the corner, my breath caught in my throat. There, in my closet, was Donna, wearing my favorite jacket and rifling through my things. When I told Donna to stop, she locked eyes with me and angrily claimed that I had enchanted her son. I was completely confused and asked how she had even gotten in. Without warning, she rushed toward me, shouting that it was her son's home, not mine, and that everything in it belonged to her. Fear surged through me, and I instinctively lifted the umbrella to protect myself. Unfortunately, it hit her head, not too hard, but enough to make her collapse, unconscious. I quickly called the police, and when they arrived, Donna tearfully confessed. She admitted to her actions, apologizing for violating our privacy and the hurt she had caused. She explained that her overwhelming fear of losing Stephen had driven her to act in such an extreme way. She truly regretted it. Now understanding the seriousness of her behavior, the police cuffed her and I showed them the property documents to confirm that the house was mine. The officers told me that Donna had broken in and taken things. They also advised me to be cautious with weapons, especially when emotions are running high. As I glanced at Stephen, I could see the sorrow and guilt on his face. He tried to explain things about his mother. "I told you, it's complicated. Donna has always been extremely protective of me. She couldn't stop when we got married. She thought she had to shield me from everything, even if it meant doing things that aren't okay." "Stephen, are you a child? How do you not know the difference between right and wrong?" I shot back. "I'm sorry, Amanda. I didn't think it would go that far," he said, his voice low with regret. "Amanda, who had been quiet until now, added, "At first, your mom seemed nice, but she was hiding her true feelings behind a friendly face. I can't deal with this anymore." Though I couldn't forgive Donna immediately, it was clear that she was genuinely sorry for what she had done. Stephen had misunderstood the situation and hadn't fully grasped the depth of his mother's actions. Over the following months, we took steps to secure our home, changing the locks, installing a security system, and setting firm boundaries with Donna. I was still hurting from the betrayal, and I needed time alone to process everything. I told Stephen we needed a break, and he understood, giving me the space I needed. My dad stayed with me during this time, offering his support as I tried to heal. Donna will be out of jail soon, but she can't be part of my life anymore. I'm starting to feel better, but before I can let Stephen back in, things need to change.